Okay, so I think we'll get started. So welcome everybody. Hello, it's great to see you all. Today's session is focusing on how AI can transform HR for small businesses. Just before we dive in, I just want to go over some housekeeping in the first instance. So this session is being recorded. You will receive a copy of the recording either this afternoon or tomorrow. We also have an interactive session today, so we will be asking for some audience participation. There's a couple of polls that I'll be asking for your thoughts on, so please be ready for those when they come. I'll explain how all that works. And then finally, if you have any questions, we do have some time at the end to go through any questions. But if you have anything that you can think of as and when we go through the presentation, please feel free to add in any questions as you go through. You can either use the comments box in the bottom right-hand corner of your screens, or if you click the shapes icon, there's a questions box there as well. So either through the comments or using the questions box. But like I say, we will come on to that questions at the end. So welcome to everybody. I'm your host for today, Megan from the customer success team here at Apogee HR. I've been with the business for nearly 7 years now, making sure our customers are happy and getting the most out of their HR package. If you aren't aware, I know we've got a kind of a mixture of customers and non-customers on the call today. So if you don't know, Apogee HR is an award-winning cloud-based HR software. We have customers all over the world, and we specialize in intuitive solutions for small to medium-sized businesses. That's really people who are looking to streamline their HR processes. So things like time off management, onboarding, performance management. We can help with employee engagement surveys, boosting your company culture, and employee time tracking as well. And I'll be guiding you through today's webinar. So with that in mind, we'll have a look at the agenda. So the session is sort of split into kind of 3 areas. We've got a bit of an intro, what AI is and how it's helping the HR kind of function, a bit of a deep dive into some case studies on what we can do to help, and then that question and answer section at the end. So hopefully by the end of the webinar, you'll be full of helpful use cases, how you can implement AI-powered HR software in your business, and how you can use it to support your HR teams. So let's move on to the first kind of section, the AI revolution, how you can work smarter and not harder. So just to start off, I wanted to share this stat, and I don't think it's particularly surprising. 74% of people are already embracing AI-powered tools. That could be kind of in your personal lives or in your work lives. I think most people are obviously familiar with ChatGPT. There's also the Google Gemini tools that we're kind of starting to use more and more in our daily lives. A lot of people are kind of replacing the Google search with asking AI. I know, I'll just put that into ChatGPT. And so it's kind of really fitting that AI and its business applications are now being referred to as the 4th industrial revolution. It's brought about a lot of change in the world, and obviously, like I say, people are starting to implement it in kind of day-to-day life. HR is obviously a constantly evolving kind of area, business function, all trying to meet the needs of an ever-changing, diverse workforce. And obviously, AI is one of the latest technologies at the centre of the transformation. The reality is, obviously, with this stat on the screen, people are becoming more and more comfortable with interacting with AI-powered HR tools in their everyday lives, and moving on to kind of using them in our work lives is becoming a lot more commonplace. There's a big shift in increasing our own productivity to free us up to focus on more strategic tasks, using AI to eliminate the mundane and the time-consuming tasks, and focusing on our people. And so for small businesses, this is an incredible opportunity because typically in small businesses, you may not necessarily have a dedicated HR resource, or the time is being kind of split between multiple people, and you can then focus more on your employees and your people rather than on your paperwork. And AI is not really a futuristic concept anymore. It's kind of here, it's being used, and it's here to stay, certainly, and it's just making our lives more and more efficient and effective than ever before. So if we rewind a sec, what actually is AI, and why would we use it in an HR setting? So AI is essentially machine learning, artificial intelligence. What that means is, rather than computers being transactional, as they have been historically, we're going to log in and we'll create a spreadsheet. They're actually learning, and they're kind of developing and helping us as humans kind of analyze and assist in decision making, taking away that kind of additional admin that we would normally be doing ourselves. So artificial intelligence is taking what humans know and kind of learning on it and developing on it. And so in HR, that can be really useful for things like automating admin tasks. So an example that we'll look at shortly is the ability to generate documentation, or answer policy queries immediately. So I know how many of us have gone into ChatGPT to ask a question about a certain thing, and it's come up with the answer straight away. And so we can start to embed that into our HR processes, which means that we don't have kind of the delay of asking somebody a question and having to wait for them to be free to answer. And it's not, it's not creating robots, it's helping people change the way that we interact with technology. So it's opening up a world of possibilities across various functions and industries. Obviously not specific, not just HR, that's what we're here to talk about today, but kind of in the business space. And many small businesses struggle with daily HR duties, as I mentioned before, limited resources. For example, AI can be somewhat of a lifeline to help solve challenges by improving efficiency, accuracy, and compliance while reducing that admin heavy workload. But as with any technology, new things, there obviously are fears and concerns. So this is our first poll. So what I'm going to do is launch a poll for you. So in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little icon with some shapes in it. If you click on that and then select the poll, you can click on the question. So when considering implementing AI, what is your biggest concern? And there's some options. Just tick the option that you want and then click the submit button. And then I will have a look at the results. So the options we have are data security and privacy, potential job replacement, accuracy and reliability, and employee adoption. Just give you a minute or so to submit those answers. If you can't see the poll, you can click the, there's an icon in the bottom right-hand corner. It's got a triangle, a square, and a circle. If you click on that, and then there should be an option for polls, you should be able to see the questions there. Okay, so we've had quite a lot of responses, so I'm going to move on to the next slide now. But the biggest concern that's coming through, which I think is very understandable, is data security and privacy. So obviously, with HR, handling personal information, it is quite a concern about the security of your kind of data. And so, you have to pick the right tool to make sure that you are kind of confident in the knowledge that your data is secure. So thanks everybody for your responses. I'm going to address the answers, the different poll answers, just in the order that comes on the screen here. So obviously the highest one against for this audience is that last one, compliance and security. So I'll come on to that at the end. But the second most popular answer on the poll was job security. Lots of people kind of think, you know, when it comes to AI, one of the biggest topics is, oh, AI is going to take my job. And obviously that is a kind of an understandable concern, but actually the reality is AI is not going to replace you as a human. It can't replicate human interactions. It's actually really going to help and support you to take care of repetitive tasks, the admin side of things, and so that you can focus more on your strategic, people-centric work. So it's not, instead of eliminating jobs, we can utilize AI to help HR teams become more efficient and effective. So like I say, taking away that kind of repetitive admin heavy work leaves you time to do the thing that's important, which is your people. So the next option we had was the complexity. So is it difficult to implement? And, you know, because AI is a new technology, it's understandable. People may not understand, you know, how to implement it, but actually AI tools are, on the whole, user-friendly. As I've said already about ChatGPT, most people know how to use that. You just go on and give it a query. But you've probably been interacting with chatbots kind of in your everyday life anyway. So how many times have we tried to contact a business and been kind of led down a path of answering questions through a chat bot without actually speaking to a person? Obviously, that's not always the best experience, but something that I've seen more recently, which is a useful thing with AI, is on Amazon, when you're looking at product reviews, there's a nice summary at the top of the product review. You know, most people think this about this product, some people are cautious about this. And so it's a really nice way of implementing AI. And a lot of the tools that you use on an everyday basis are already implementing AI without, you know, us even realizing. And so things like auto-filling your texts, if you've been emailing, you might notice that I know Google Gmail fills in and gives you suggestions for predictive text. So, you know, if you pick a tool that has already kind of thought about the implementation, then all it is from your side of things is to just enable it. So really, really straightforward. And then obviously the big one, security and compliance. Given that HR handles sensitive employee data, obviously concerns about AI security are completely understandable. With tools like the one that I'm going to show you today in Apigee HR, these are built with robust security measures. Specifically, when we're talking about AI tools within an HR setting, it's really important for the AI provider to understand, you know, the kind of potential concerns about compliance and security. But when I show you the demo later, I'll explain all the security, kind of how that works and what has gone into the thought process behind making sure that the AI tools within Apigee HR are secure. So yes, AI might seem daunting, but actually, you know, it's here to make our lives much easier and much more efficient, and not replace that human touch that we mentioned. So moving now into kind of the case study area, we're going to look at sort of two examples of how we can implement AI in aiding our HR teams. So we're now going on to a second poll. So I just want to get a feel for where you guys are in terms of your time spent. So the next poll is going to ask how much time you spend roughly each week on your HR admin. So once again, have a look in the bottom right-hand corner. The poll is asking you how much time you spend on your routine HR queries, such as policies, etc. So again, bottom right-hand corner, click on the poll, select your answer, and then submit your vote. Okay, we'll give you 10 more seconds. Okay, so the overwhelming response on this is 2 to 5 hours per week.
I
And
can't even.
that tracks. So according to SHRM, HR professionals are spending an average of 4 hours per week drafting HR documents. But if we utilize AI, that can actually cut the time by over 70%. So from an admin perspective, we can be utilizing the tools that we have in AI to reduce that 2 to 5 hours per week right down, so that you're able to focus your time on more important kind of employee related queries. So when we're talking about kind of AI powered tools to help you generate documentation, it's things like, let's just go on to the use cases. So it's things like, you know, coming up with new content or using the current content that you have. Maybe you already have a policy and you want to make kind of an improvement to it, or updating. You've got a new starter and their contract needs to be slightly different from the kind of generic employment contract that you have within your business. So here are some kind of 3 kind of scenarios that you might that you would be able to use AI to help you out with. So firstly, let's say you don't have a social media policy, and you found out that an employee is using TikTok and Instagram to make videos about, you know, a day in the life at working at X company, which is something that you're happy about, but you just want to make sure that there's a policy in place to make sure people aren't abusing or using social media in the wrong way. So you need to quickly come up with a policy to cover the bases of this particular scenario. So you can use AI to come up with that policy. Another example could be that you have found out or worked out that you actually need to hire an additional person into the team. Your workload has increased and you need to hire a new person. That job doesn't exist before because it's a new kind of role that's come up. So you don't have a job description that you can utilize. So you could create a detailed job description in seconds, which will help you attract top talent and create a personalized contract for them. And leading nicely then onto your employment contracts. So if you have a change in circumstance, maybe somebody is applying for flexible working, which in the UK is becoming a lot more popular, you may wish to or need to come up with an addendum to somebody's contract because they are going down the route of flexible working. These are all examples of where you can start to utilize AI in your everyday life and improve your experience, because what AI is going to do is come up with the content for you very quickly. That's not to say that you're going to just utilize the content that the AI has created for you and just send it out. Obviously, it's really important to review that document and make sure that it is up to scratch. So what I'm going to do now is show you an example of this specific scenario in action. So this is the Apigee HR system. We are logged in as an HR manager who is going to create a new policy. So here we have the policy generator. What we're going to do is we're going to give the AI tool some prompts. So similar to how you would use, a chatbot, you would give it some data for it to kind of come up with its response. So we're going to select a policy, and then as you can see, having selected policy, we now have a long list of examples that we can use. So for this particular scenario, I'm going to select career break. At this point, what I could do is just click the next button and see what the AI tool comes up with. But for this particular organization, I want to add in a specific eligibility criteria. So what I'm going to do is in the text box, I'm going to add some specific instructions. So this is our prompt. And then that is going to be added into the policy. So it's going to generate the policy. And then as we can see here, we have an example career break policy. So on the right-hand side, it's come up with the full policy. And on the left-hand side, this is split into different sections. And the beauty of the way this has been implemented is that each section can be customized. And you can see here that we have an edit button and an AI prompt for every single section. So you can flesh out the details of the policy without having to repeatedly ask the AI to add this, change that, do this. You can just do it within your sections. So I'm just going to add a bit more to this eligibility prompt. And again, this is another prompt. So each section has its own AI prompt. So you can really utilize the tools within AI to come up with your document specifically for you. So just adding in the specifics for this particular policy. And then we're going to update the section. And what you can do is update or add more prompts to each of the sections. And then when you're happy with that, you can regenerate the document and it will come up with an updated version based on the specifics and the tweaks and changes that you want to make. Because the important thing with something like this is not to just use the first thing that AI has given you. Ultimately, we are trying to save time, we're trying to improve our processes, but we're not replacing ourselves with AI. And it's important to understand, and I'll go into this later, but it's important to understand that we can't just use what AI has given us and take that for gospel. So it's very important to kind of tweak it and change it. Within this tool, we can also add sections. So if you've read through the policy and you realize that it needs to have another section or another area and you want to flesh that section out, you can just add in the section title and again, give it a prompt and the AI will come up with another section for you. And you can also reorder the sections to work in the most appropriate kind of, I guess, flow that you need. The next part within the way that we've implemented this in Apigee HR is really key. This is the ability to edit the full document. And this is, again, following on from that comment about not making sure that we're not just using the first thing that AI gives us. Here, the user can go in and they can update and they can, tweak the wording, really make the document their own. And that can either be done by just typing it in, rewriting it kind of manually ad hoc, or there's also some additional AI tools that we can use. So I'm just going to highlight this section here. Firstly, there's a tone change option. So what this can do is obviously change the way that the wording is written. And depending on the policy, the type of document that you're creating, you can change this up. So for example, if you're doing a disciplinary or a grievance policy, you might want to pick the professional or the assertive tone. If you're doing like a welcome to new starters document or a handbook, you could go down the friendly route. The other option is to, I'll just go back a sec, rewrite, expand or shorten. So again, you could utilize the AI tools to improve that terminology or the wording or the paragraph. So for this example, I'm just going to make it longer because obviously it's quite a short section of our policy. And you can see here it's now expanded that and added more information. Then, because this is all within your HR system, what you will be able to do is create that document as a policy within the system, and then you can share it with employees and they can review that as part of their kind of ongoing HR kind of employee engagement. So there's our completed policy document. So that's really useful from an HR admin point of view to help you speed up your processes in terms of document generation. The other kind of example that I have that we're going to look at is the ability for your employees to save time for your employees. So we are going to look at the ability to search for information within your system. So one of the bigger challenges in HR is with regards to employees constantly asking about things like their holiday, how much entitlement do I have? Can I work from home? Am I able to work abroad? What's my pension? When did I get enrolled? So sifting through those emails and documents, instead of doing that, AI can help with instant policy retrieval. So employees and managers can search policies in real time, get their answers straight away, and which will in turn reduce the HR workload, and also obviously improve the employee experience. Which is a real game changer for busy HR teams, because there's none of that kind of back and forward with information of where to find the document, or please log in here and look in this document. AI tools will be able to help with that. So again, just got a short demo. So this is, I've logged in as an employee, and I'm using the search assistant to ask some questions. So this employee is asking, what is the maternity pay? And the assistant is going to search through the library of documents that you have within the system and come up with an answer. So this is saying that they get 6 weeks full pay and they can have statutory maternity for 39 weeks. The database that this is searching is specific to each individual company. So if we go back to that security compliance kind of question or concern that people had earlier, the way that this has been implemented is completely independent. So your Apogee HR account with your company policies and your company documentation is all retained within the one system, and the searcher system is only looking at those documents. It's not feeding it to anything else. It's not learning. It's just a search kind of repository. So as well as giving the employee the answer to their question, it's also linked them to the specific document that that policy relates to, or the information that they've asked for is in that document. They can then ask for some more questions. Maybe they need some more in-depth understanding of what the policy. So they've asked if they can apply for shared parental leave. And the search assistant has come up with the answer, told them their eligibility criteria, and it's also given them, again, it's given them a link to the document. The other thing that it has done is it has told the employee to speak with their HR administrator or manager to discuss their circumstances. So again, if we go back to one of those concerns about AI taking our jobs, what this is doing is it's providing the employee with the answer, but it's also providing that human touch, giving the employee the opportunity to reach out to the correct person. And once again, it's shared them the document. And then finally, the employee is asking a question about their return to work. And once again, the search assistant has found the correct answers from the documentation. And as well as the maternity leave policy, which is the one that it referenced previously, because this question now takes into account the flexible working, it has provided a second option of a document of where they can find that information. Okay, so that's kind of the demo portion of the session. Now we're going to move into best practices and how we can implement these successfully within our business. So there's 5 kind of key things that I want us to have a think about. So when it comes to AI adoption, we don't have to completely do everything at once. It can be overwhelming if you were to do that. So if you've not used AI before, then you can start by maybe automating one thing. So you could just implement the document generation, or you could just implement the search assistant. And when you found the success in that, or you've had the feedback from employees and you have seen that it's improved people's, reduced people's time spent on certain tasks, then you can expand and start to include other additional AI tools within the business. Secondly, keeping a human touch. I've said this a couple of times throughout the session, but it is, HR is ultimately about people. It should enhance human interactions and not replace them. So making sure that you have a human touch, using AI to handle those repetitive tasks, but ensuring that employees still have access to human support. As we saw in the previous slide, please contact your HR manager type comments. Which is obviously needed, especially in sensitive or complex issues. Data security, obviously this is a big topic and one that I've spoken about a couple of times already, but making sure that you pick the correct AI-powered HR tools to prioritize your data security. As I mentioned, with our tools within Apigee HR for the search assistant, that is only searching within the parameters of your company documents. And then with the record generation tool, that is not learning. Your queries are all kind of contained. It doesn't learn, it doesn't expand, it just gives you the results. So the AI within the Apigee HR system is very well contained. Your data is completely secure, and we've taken precautions to make sure that that is certainly the case. Number 4, training your team. Obviously, as we've seen today, the AI tools that we have here are user-friendly, but it is important to train your employees on how you want them to be used. So things like the search assistant, what's built into the search assistant, if an employee asks a question that's completely irrelevant, it will say that that's an irrelevant question, please try again. If it's asked a question that it doesn't have the answer to, it will obviously let the employee know that. But it's a good idea to train your team or to explain to your team what is an appropriate use of the AI tools, and making sure that people are able to kind of use them for what they're intended. And then regularly reviewing AI generated content. Obviously, as I mentioned, when we looked at the document generation, obviously the AI tools are accurate to an extent, but they do need to be monitored and fine-tuned. With our solution, obviously you have that third step where you can customize the text completely. So whilst it is able to come up with the policies, it's definitely a good idea to fine-tune them, align them with your policies and your culture, and make sure that you're fact-checking them, because it doesn't necessarily always get it 100% correct 100% of the time. But by following these best practices, you can ensure that AI is an asset to your team, whilst also making sure that people are at the centre of everything that you do. So I know we've got a bit of a mixed audience today, so I just wanted to kind of touch on why us and who Apigee HR are. And obviously I'm aware some of you are already kind of aware, but just in case you wanted some more information, Apigee HR, we are built specifically for small businesses. We understand the challenges that you face, and we understand that not one solution necessarily fits everybody. So our products, our services, our offering is really customizable, so you can fit within your business models. We also have different package offerings, so you can start small, as I mentioned with the AI kind of implementation process, start small and work up, and so you can help kind of grow, we'll grow with you basically. Obviously, I've touched on productivity today, and something that is important to us is that we can help you with integrations. So being able to integrate your tools that you use kind of on an everyday basis, be that payroll with the Xero integration, Office 365, Google Workspace, that kind of thing, making sure that your tools are all working together. And also our services, so we have a dedicated customer success team. We're always here to help and ensure that you get the most out of your investment. The role of a good HR system is obviously more than the points on that I just raised. So you can see from the graphic here, there's loads of other benefits of picking the correct HR system for you. Obviously, you know, cost savings in terms of time, data accuracy, retention, that kind of thing, and an overall better employee experience. So obviously there are lots and lots of benefits of adopting cloud-based solutions just like Apigee HR. So that just leaves me now onto the Q&A section. Obviously, as I mentioned at the beginning, we've now got some time for questions. So this is similar to, I think you can find the question box in the same place that you found the polls. So in the bottom right hand corner, the little shapes icon, there should be a questions option there. So let me see if I can see if there's any questions. Okay, Katie's asked, for existing customers, is there an additional cost for these functions? It depends. So if you are on our HR Success package, which is the kind of full HR solution, then the AI tools are included as part of that package. If you are on our Leave or our HR Essentials package, then it would be a case of upgrading to that Success package, which gives you the AI tools as part of the functionality, along with a whole host of other pieces of kind of features and modules as part of that full, like I say, full HR package offering. I've got time for any more questions. Can you use existing HR policies to train the policy writing tool? I believe so. When you're writing your prompts out, you can ask it to utilize the terminology that you've used, or kind of come up with examples and amendments of the policies that you already have. And then another one, for AI generated policies, is there an approval flow? So there is not an embedded approval flow, but what you can do is when you create the policy through AI, you don't have to publish it straight away. You can save it as a draft, and then anyone with the HR manager role has the ability to go in and review that document. So you would be able to have that kind of overall sort of understanding that you're happy that that document is going ahead. So in theory, it's not an official approval process within the app itself, but you do have the ability to share that document and make sure that everybody that is kind of the correct level is happy with that document. These tools are obviously very new, so we are ever evolving. So the idea around having an approval process is definitely something that we can take on board. Like I say, with our products, we're always kind of adding new features and making improvements. So we can definitely review that as a future potential update. Perfect. Any other questions? I think that's everything. So lastly, I just want to thank you for your time today. I hope that that's been useful. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Also follow our Apogee HR page on LinkedIn as well. We post content regularly, which will help people like you, small businesses, how we can implement AI within businesses. We've got white papers, blogs, etc. And you can also subscribe to our blog on our resources page. But otherwise, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for joining. I hope it's been useful, and hopefully see you all next time.